was like, okay, it gave me cringe. That's all I was thinking at the time, that it gave me cringe. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Nadale, and I make videos on makeup, motherhood, and lifestyle. So if that's something you're interested in, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, you guys, this is the first episode of a new series that I'm trying on my channel called Cut Crease Commentary, you guys. So I'll be commenting on all the hot Netflix shows like Love is Blind, The Ultimatum. I don't know if they still have Selling Sunset, but I loved that show, and you know, similar types of shows. I am nervous about shooting videos like that because I do understand that these are real people in real life, so I definitely don't want to contribute to like bashing or bullying them or anything like that. That's not my intention. My intention is just to kind of analyze their behavior on the show, their characters and personas that they that are depicted on the shows. And I do understand that we are seeing people through the lenses of the executive producers and who they want us to think these people are. So I also take that into consideration as well. I was so nervous making videos like this, you guys, because I really just don't want to feel like I'm over here just talking about people, but I do understand it is a show, so I can comment on it. So I'm just trying it out, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then I'll just move on and to my regular content. If you guys like this video, please don't forget to subscribe, but no pressure. Honestly, I want to build a community of people who actually like my content. So if you just like this video and you don't like the rest of my content, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully you'll be back sooner or later. But you don't have to subscribe if you don't want to. No pressure, all right? No pressure at all. I'm just so happy that you guys watched this video by itself. So thank you so much for watching. And okay, so this is what the look is looking like. I decided to go ahead and do one eye off camera just so that I don't kind of get lost and I know what I'm doing while I have the conversation. So let's start with the elephant in the room. Some of you might or may not recognize me from last season when I made an Instagram really like bigging up SK, and he reposted it on his Instagram page. Oh my god, I might share that footage. But was I disappointed after finding out who SK really was? And I had my inklings about him, and when I called my sister, she was like, no SK slander will be tolerated. And I was like, you know what, maybe I'm just in my feelings because he said no to Raven, but no, I should have gone with my gut instinct right then and there. So hopefully this time I'm a little bit more able to stick to what I think is my unpopular opinions. Some of these opinions you're not going to agree with, but that's fine. We can all agree to disagree as long as we keep it respectful. And also, I would like to say I do acknowledge that these are real people who are experiencing this in real time, and so I will be commenting on the show for the most part and giving my opinions of their personas on the show, how the producers have portrayed them to us, because that's really and truly what we can work with. I do not know these people in real life. I don't want anybody to be bullying anybody in the comments. Let's keep it cute and respectful, and also respect my opinion and I will respect yours. But let's have some fun talking about this show, you guys. First of all, who else was so pissed off that we had to wait a whole hour for Netflix, not even a whole hour, an hour and 20 minutes for them to get their stuff together, and still didn't end up doing a live? I think they recorded it and then they probably chopped it up a little bit and then showed it to us because we were waiting. And I'm like, that shit is ghetto as hell. I don't even get to lie. I was like, who is responsible for this? Like, people paying their bills on time. You said you was gonna have a show on time. We expect you to be on time. Maybe, let's say a little, maybe 5-10 minutes grace period, but not a whole hour and 20 minutes. But I will say they were live on Instagram, and that comment section was lit. I was laughing so hard. Josh was in there, the Cheesecake Factory was in there, MTV was in there, Maybelline, was it Maybelline? I believe so. It's a bunch of different brands basically just like always doing their little advertisement for their own brands. So Cheesecake Factory was like, while we wait, you can head over to Cheesecake Factory and grab you something to eat. The way that I will be doing in this review is, since I have never done a video about them before, I kind of want to touch on each individual couple on the show and then give my thoughts about each of them at the reunion. So that's kind of how I'm going to go about doing this video. I also won't be saying what products I'm using just because I don't want to like get distracted, because I have notes on my phone and notes from the reunion on this notepad, so it's a lot of like moving parts in this video. So I'm just trying to like get the look done as well as get my opinions up there. All of this before my son comes back, okay? Let's just jump right into it. Jackie and Marshall, just because I feel like they're the most talked about couple right now, with the most drama and controversy surrounding them. At first it was Micah and Irina, and then I would say it was Kwame and Chelsea, but now it's like strictly mainly Jackie and Marshall and Josh. And let's just get into my opinion about them. So I do want to also highlight some positive things, whether that may be physical or not. Before I don't want to just talk about like the negative parts about them. I also want to talk about some good qualities, just one or two. Not saying that there's not any more than that, but when it comes to Jackie, I would say, based on what we were shown, that she does really love her family a lot. She is a caretaker. I think she's an attractive girl. Like, she's a pretty girl. I feel like she does take care of a lot of people, including her father, who, based on what she posted on social media, has cancer, and her brother who just got out of jail. So, you know, she takes care of people, and I think that speaks positively to her character. She also has a good job, I would say, and I would say that she does have a sense of humor as well. I think people gravitated towards her early on in the season because of her sense of humor, but then as time unfolds, you start to really get to know Jackie for who she was. So in my opinion, as soon as they got out of the pods, she lost me. Like, I wasn't feeling Jackie. I was just like, okay, I already know how this is going to go, but let's just see how it plays out before I start judging these people for no reason. I feel like after the pods, as soon as they got out and they were among, you know, the rest of the group, she was very judgmental, especially towards Zach and Irina. I think she called one of them a peasant, right? So I think she called Irina a peasant and she called Zach a weirdo. Now, we do know that Zach has his quirks. He is not what people would deem as a typical type of guy, but we will talk more about Zach later. But for you to be like, oh, he needs to stay XYZ amount of feet away from you, like he violated you in some way or the other, and then calling somebody a peasant, like seriously, in 2023, that's what we're doing? But I feel like that was like a big red flag to me. And also, I think one of the biggest red flags earlier on was when she was listening to Chelsea talk about how, you know, kind of open up about Kwame and Micah's conversation. So Jackie, Tiffany, and Chelsea were having a conversation. Chelsea was telling them basically how she felt about her fiance talking to his ex, or ex from the pods, right? So Jackie is really like, yeah, I would behead him. Like, I would behead him. If it was me, I would behead him. And then she goes to Micah and she's like, girl, Chelsea was really thinking that, like, you want her man? Because if you wanted her man, you would have him. And I was like, girl, what? That was so two-faced for me. And I think at that point I lost hope in Jackie, honestly. And I think maybe that's where my opinion differs from everybody else's. I wasn't surprised at her behavior after that, honestly. And I guess that's why I wasn't as upset about it as everybody else. But I feel like people are very passionate about Jackie and the way that she treated Marshall. But I think she gave signs, and you know, I did not ignore them in the beginning, so I really wasn't surprised by who she ended up being. I also feel like there was a lack of context in her story. We saw her breaking down and crying a lot and kind of having like panic and anxiety attacks, and later on we found out on social media it's because, you know, she had a lot going on in the outside world. Like I said, she's taking care of her sick dad, and also her brother just got home from jail, so she had a lot on her plate. But I honestly, when she was crying before knowing all that, I do think that might have a part to play in it. But I also think it's because she saw Marshall as somebody that she couldn't take seriously, and that her family couldn't take seriously either. She said she's accustomed to guys who kind of rough, tattooed all over, you know, like, I'm not saying that she's with people who like beat her or anything of that nature, but based on what she was saying, it's like she's accustomed to guys that are more aggressive in nature. You know, I think that was her words, to be more aggressive. Anyway, I think that's why she was really breaking down, because she agreed to marry somebody. You know, they probably filing paperwork, you know, they probably going and get their documents to legalize their marriage and all of these things, and it's becoming real for her. And she probably feels like if she had to present Marshall to her mom and dad, like, no shade, I'm not judging, I have no idea why her brother went to jail, but I will just assume that they are not the same kind of, like, her brother isn't the same kind of way as a Marshall. And if she brings Marshall home as a husband, they're probably not going to view him as a man either. And I think she was maybe looking at things from their lens, honestly. So, not giving her excuses, but again, if she, like she said, she's accustomed to a certain kind of guy, and then you have guys like that in her family as well, I don't see how he would fit in. And I just feel like it just wouldn't be a good match. I always thought they wouldn't be a good match. I honestly was surprised that she chose Marshall to begin with. I'm not lying to you. Like, even if I didn't see much of she and Josh, I always thought Josh would have been a better choice for her, because that's just what I could see just from them being in the pods. And I always wondered why Netflix specifically did not show their relationship, but showed the fact that there was a triangle between the three of them. Like, why are you showing a love triangle but not showing all sides, like, in great detail? That was also one of the things that I did not agree with. Josh is a wrestler, I believe, by profession. You know, it seems that he's a little bit more of the kind of guy that would get along well with her brother or her family. Honestly, I think Jackie was very turned off from the moment Marshall did that little dance in the reveal. And I'm not going to lie, you guys, I'm talking about both Jackie and Marshall in conjunction, because, you know, they are a couple. But when Marshall did that dance, I was just like, okay, that was a little bit extra. But I don't want to judge too much, but I view Marshall as the kind of guy that I have friend zoned in the past. I'm not going to lie. Like, I feel like he is the friend zoned kind of guy. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. I feel like he's a very nice guy. I don't think it's because he's super nice. It's just that some of this goofiness and the playing around is just not palatable for everybody. Okay, that's not everybody's jam. Yes, you can play around with your partner, but I feel like even when you laugh, you can laugh, kiki, and make jokes, but there's different kinds of playfulness, and I think that's just not how Jackie really likes to play around. I don't know, but I kind of was like, okay, it gave me cringe. That's all I was thinking at the time, that it gave me cringe. It really made me cringe, and I just was like, okay. And then I was like, I don't think she really gonna like him, honestly, like, because you could see she was like, okay, but she wasn't like, okay, you better, you know what I mean, like. And I just, nobody else did that at their reveal. Not saying that everybody has to react the same way, but I just felt like it was just very performative. And when we get to Marshall, we'll talk more in depth about that. But when it comes to Jackie, I feel like they left out context. I also felt like she was self-centered. It was all about Jackie, 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 what's going on with me, all of that extra crying. It's like, when she feeling better, when she, it was just a lot of negative vibes from her. And I got that, like I said, from the moment that she was two-faced in that conversation with Chelsea and Tiffany. So I wasn't surprised by what she did. Was it disrespectful? Absolutely yes. Her defense is that she was already broken up with Marshall when she went on a date. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people are upset about that. But if you give the context of the show, not to compare, but I think it's kind of similar. If you're dating multiple people and you end up having feelings for multiple people, if you break up with one that you see you definitely kind of see yourself with and start pursuing the other, it is easy to, it comes across that it's easy to just flip like that. Because just look at Zach and Irina, for example. Nobody's saying, oh, all of a sudden you just have all of this, you know, forget all about Irina. Granted, she treated him like dirt, so I could see why he could just disregard his feelings for her and start being completely 100% in love with Bliss only. But I think the same with that type of show. Going on the show, you are going under the premise of you are dating multiple people and hopefully find one that you can marry. However, especially in this season, there were several couples who fell in love with more than one person. So it wasn't so crazy to me that she explored her feelings with Josh. Now, I did realize that Marshall said that at the reunion that he was slighted by Jackie for the second time because she did not show. But in the pods, I felt like Jackie was slighted of making a clear decision between Marshall and Josh. I say that because she did let him know about a personal conversation that she had. I don't know why she did that, but she did it anyway. And I feel like Marshall again was doing too much. He's one of those doing too much people to me. Sorry, not sorry. I can see what, like, those are the kind of guys that I friend zone, because he was doing way too much. Like, he was like, the way he stepped out of the pause and he was like basically saying like they need to, if they want to scrap or whatever. You know what kind of show this is. You know that a bunch of people dating a bunch of people. Like, why are you talking like as if Josh was supposed to have your best interest at heart? This is not how it goes. Josh wasn't there for you, okay? He told her, if it's not you and I, there's no reason for me to be on this show. I can understand that, right? And I don't think this is the first time I heard this on Love is Blind. So I don't think Josh was doing that as a tactic. Honestly, I think the real tactic was the way that he expressed himself about it to Jackie. Like, he gonna need to, like, they need to come and see me, like they over there like hearing me talk about you, but then telling you something else so you wouldn't choose me. No, just allow her to make whatever decision. You should have just been like, it's up to you. Whatever decision you make, right? But you shouldn't be talking like you're about to go fight Josh just because Josh know that you like Jackie or you falling for Jackie or whatever the case is. Josh didn't know you before he came there. He didn't come for you, right? So I don't know, but I guess he's thinking like it's a respect thing. But I don't know, y'all didn't come here as friends, and you and Josh didn't have a friendship. So maybe I could see that being possible, like him being upset if it was him and Brett, because they kind of were forging a friendship. But I don't know, I just thought he was doing too much. Before we talk about the reunion stuff, let me touch a little bit more about Marshall. The good things that I like about Marshall is that, one, he's very kind. well, thoughtful in terms of, you know, he was making her pancakes early in the morning, going to get stuff from the market or the grocery store to whip her something up. So, you know, we all love a gentleman that's really nice. It's not about whether or not he's a gentleman or a nice guy. I just feel like his delivery on things is probably might not be palatable in a lot of cases, because Brett is a nice guy. I view Brett and Marshall as two completely different people in the way that they present themselves. Both of them are equally nice guys, but I would date Brett any day over Marshall. Why is that? Their delivery is completely different. Brett doesn't have to do too much. Like, he doesn't. It's just nice and easy, and it flows more organic to me, less performative. But yeah, let me do my makeup. So yeah, I think Marshall is a thoughtful guy. He's a gentleman. He is a handsome guy. But it did kind of strike me as when he did all that, if you want to scrap, and the walk that he gave when he was coming out, I was like, that gave me a little bit of a red flag, but I don't know yet, because it was just like, what is all that about? Like, and then you didn't fight nobody, so I don't know what all that extra again, it's the extraness that I didn't like about Marshall. He is not my favorite person, neither is Jackie at all. But again, I told you guys, my opinions are unpopular. I feel like Jackie gave Marshall, she pushed away Marshall a lot, and he continued to try to be supportive and try to like be a shoulder she could lean on. But sometimes he did some things that made me be like, okay, but she said she didn't want that though. You know, she said back up, so probably you should. Like, the whole thing with the jacket, trying to cover her up, and I understand he probably did that because Josh was there and he was trying to, like, you know, show that they on good terms, and this is my lady, she's wearing my jacket, and also cover her up so, you know, Josh wouldn't be like admiring her or whatever. I don't know, but I just felt like he was pushing it, like with that whole jacket thing. That whole jacket story was just like, yo, she said no, like, chill out. You know what I mean? Like, chill. I did not like when Josh called him NBA Cryboy, or NBA Cryboy. I don't remember which one it is, but when he was calling him a cryboy, Jackie was laughing and giggling like, no, that is your fiance. You need to not have any response on your face, no, like, poker face, no response, get up and leave, or you say, don't talk about my man like that, period. But you shouldn't be there, you know, entertaining it out of respect for your partner, right? But either way, you know, she was over there kicking with him, and I think she was struggling again with her feelings for Marshall, so she was at a vulnerable state. I think it was the perfect opportunity for anybody else that she was interested in to take advantage of that and plant a seed, and I think that's exactly what happened with Josh. So he keeps talking to, I don't want to talk too much about Josh, honestly. I see why he said he was losing a lot of weight at the time, and that's why he ended up getting drunk so quickly, or so drunk, because everybody, well, some people might not know this, but when you are losing weight and you drink alcohol, like, that's a complete no-no, okay? You can research it on the internet. I don't really drink alcohol like that, but I know I have heard people say that that happens whenever you are losing weight and drink. Let's talk about the reunion. Jackie and Josh did not show up, which is crazy, because isn't that part of their contract, or did she already breach the contract? I don't know, because I'm like, if you're doing a show, you have to do all parts of the show, not whatever is convenient for you, because that is what the viewers are coming to see. You did all of that hype off of the show on your social media, talking about you going to bring receipts, this and that and that, but then there's no receipts, right? And I feel like when Vanessa was talking to she and like, do you know something we don't know, Vanessa? Well, you probably do, but I mean, like, why were you so far up Jackie and Josh's behind? Talking about Jack, it was revealed that in an argument between Marshall and Jackie, Marshall basically said that Jackie looked like Jack, that she had a strong jawline and maybe she had done some surgeries to become Jacquelina. And I was like, I understand in a heated argument, if she called you sweet, you want to tell her she's a man. Like, I could see how it could happen, honestly. I could see how it could happen, and it probably wasn't the nicest thing to say on both parts. They should both be equally sorry, and they should both apologize to each other, and they should both just move on from it. So in my notes I have that Jackie broke down a lot because she said that in the real world, you know, she was afraid to go back into the real world, and she didn't know how things would play out and all of that extra jazz. But I really think she just didn't like Marshall like that. But I also feel like she didn't feel safe with Marshall, and that's what I have in my notes. I feel like with Tiffany and Brett, we saw Tiffany break down a few times, but Brett always made her feel safe in expressing herself, or just feel safe by not doing too much. Again, just holding her, not saying too much, but just reassuring when it need be, and just making her feel safe. And I feel like that's why Tiffany could like properly express herself and like kind of get over her anxiety a little bit better, because of how Brett approached, you know, how Brett made her feel in terms of being safe. And women look for that in a partner, okay? But I don't think Marshall was able to do that for Jackie. I also put that Marshall was upset that Jackie cut his time from the show. I feel like he was upset that his 15 minutes of fame was cut a little bit short, down to like 10 minutes, because he didn't get to go to the altar. And I say that because I thought that before, but then he said that in the reunion he was slighted twice. And I think what he really meant is he did say at the reunion that I think he said inevitably he knew that they would break up, but she robbed him of the opportunity of basically saying no at the altar. And I'm like, well, why would you want to make it to the altar knowing that you wouldn't want to marry somebody? According to you, they're a project, right? But then you say you knew she was a project. So I'm just like, if you know she's a project and you know you're not gonna say yes, what is the point of wasting everybody's time to make it to the altar? I didn't get that, you know. I really didn't understand that part. And then he said he wasn't able to make a decision, and that he didn't know what he really would have said, but he thinks that it's inevitable that they would break up, which I was like, you're contradicting yourself. But okay, it was at this point I was fed up of waiting for Love Is Blind, so hopefully I have these notes written correctly. And he said that the derogatory statement was said jokingly, and both of them, you know, she had called him sweet, and so he said that in response, that her jawline was kind of strong. You could be a man for all I know. I don't know. The sweet things, Jackie also, there was a message leaked between Jackie and her friends when she was like, yo, we just need to keep doing this until the reunion. I don't know, does it until the altar, but do they have to make it to the altar by all means necessary? I would really like to know if that is part of their contract, because if so, I can understand why they both were putting on to end up at the altar, knowing that they really didn't want to be with one another. But I think both of them were wasting each other's time, honestly. I just feel like they were both wasting each other's time, and that was on both of their parts. Like, oh, the ring back. Yo, this is where we will not agree, you guys. Everybody's up in arms because Jackie didn't want to give the ring back to Marshall. Jackie shouldn't have to give the ring back to Marshall. Marshall shouldn't have the ring, and Jackie shouldn't have the ring. Production should take their ring back. okay? Because it does not belong to either one of them. Like, what you gonna do with it, Marshall? Why you want a ring to remind you of a girl that hurt you? And then Jacqueline said that he wanted the ring to propose to somebody else so he could stay on the show. Again, I would believe that because he gives me the performative type of thing. Like, I feel like he puts on for the camera, he does extra or does the most for camera. I feel like the super nice guy thing might just be a persona that he created for camera. I don't think that he is not a nice guy. I just think the extra niceness was so he can have that online persona that everybody falls in love with. That's just my personal opinion. Don't come for me in the comments, okay? So I feel like he was upset because his 15 minutes was taken up, and then you see him where? At a wedding with Brett. Now, I know they say that he was responsible for Brett and Tiffany being together, so I can see why they would have him at the wedding, but just have him at the wedding. Like, why they need to have a whole... That was so awkward to me, because I saw Brett like shaking his head, his hand in his pocket, just walking back and forth. So I'm like, is something wrong with Tiffany? Like, what is going on? Was Brett being like left at the altar? Why is Brett looking like he is in distress? Come to find out, he was just waiting on Marshall. And I'm like, why are we still seeing Marshall? Honestly, like, I was overseeing Marshall after that. I was just like, okay, Marshall, like, let us be there for the weddings. That is what we care about. And I guess it was supposed to be a nice bromance time, but I felt like that wasn't the time for that, honestly. I just felt like we could have just seen him. He could have done his nice little cameo at the wedding. We see him in the crowd. I think there was also somebody else that one of the women were a guest in somebody's wedding, and she didn't get no additional camera time. Granted, she wasn't a main character on the show, but I just feel like it was like, why? We could have skipped that. We're here to see these people get married. You're wasting our time showing us something else. Okay, I'm just cutting my crease right now, and that takes a little bit of focus. Okay guys, so I have cut my crease. I feel like I've been talking about Jackie and Marshall for way too long, so I'm about to move on. I don't really feel... Oh, they did show Jackie and Josh in the pods, and again, it was a better match for each other based on the type of people that they are. Do I think Josh is a douchebag? Probably so, but again, they just showed him at his very worst moment. They never showed, there was no high points to him because they took that part out. So I really don't have enough context to have a fair opinion about Josh, but from what they showed us, he's not the best guy. However, again, we cannot fairly judge him because Netflix wants us to believe whatever they want us to believe, okay? But I can say that nobody else was really messing with him like that. Like, I feel like all the guys were annoyed by him, so I think that does speak to his character. Talking in my completely Dominican dialect, when you're in good house, bad house, they call you. So if you find he was better than Marshall and is he won't, go and get Josh, and whatever come with it according to them. They now have 2 pets, a fish and a dog. So it looks like they said they moved in together. It's been a year, they're still together. So whatever is whatever they're doing, working for them. And I don't know what else to say. Like, good luck to Marshall. Hopefully you find somebody for him as well. But at this point, I just feel like it should just not be talked about anymore. But Vanessa was really in love with them. I feel like Vanessa said that she was happy they found each other. And truth be told, he was somebody from the show, so she got what she wanted from the show. I just feel like it's her delivery was the issue, and how they portrayed her too, because they were showing it that she was still in a relationship with Marshall when she went to speak to Josh and they kissed or whatever, but she said they had already broken up. I'm not going to hold a kiss against her that much because I feel like the same thing happened with Irina and Zach. One day he was trying to, you know, build a happy home with Irina, supposedly, because you did get down on your knee by her ring for her, and not by her ring, but get down on your knee and propose to her, but then you not long after, getting down on your knee and propose to somebody else too. So I don't know, it was just a case. I don't know. Not I don't know. It is what it is. Like at this point, if somebody is not right for me and they end up going with somebody else, better you than me. I'm happy for you, if anything, truth be told, because you just showing me who you really are. And thank God I didn't have to go for years of learning that before, you know, I end up investing a bunch of years of my life only for us to end up in shambles. So well, let's move on from them. Like please, I just don't want to talk about them anymore. Let's talk about